Kerala, Maharashtra, and Gujarat. Also 2 times less than West Bengal. I'm sure you get my point. If India wants to grow, then Bihar must grow, and there is no reason it can't. 40% of the state's population is under 18 years of age. 23% of the population is between 18 and 29 years of age. So we're talking about a young, energetic state. What it needs is good policies. Which brings us to the second question. What worked for the NDA in this election? Again, there were 3 main factors. Number 1, the consolidation of women voters. This was clear when the turnout data came out. Bihar logged a total turnout of 67.13%. That's the highest ever in the state's history. But the story does not end there. Women outvoted men in 37 out of 38 districts in Bihar. More women voters than men. Only the capital, Patna, was the exception. Turnout among women was 71%, and among men it was only 63%. And the NDA was ready to capitalize. Last month, they implemented a cash transfer scheme for women, 10,000 rupees to 14 million women. Clearly, that had an impact. Factor number 2 is a seamless coalition. All NDA parties were on the same page. They basically harnessed momentum off each other, and that shows in their numbers. Look at the case of junior NDA partner LJP. They contested 29 seats. They're winning around 20 of them, meaning the alliance was a well-oiled machinery. And the other side, well, it was quite the opposite, the story. That's the third reason. Gadbandhan was battling a bad history. Their previous governments were called Jungle Raj or Jungle Rule. Plus, they had a weak link in the Congress. Their leadership focused on election integrity, but reports say the voters were more concerned about other issues like jobs, caste, and safety. A clear disconnect between the ground and the leadership. I'm sure more analysis will be done in the days ahead, but the biggest lesson from Bihar today is this. You cannot rest on your past success. You must hit the ground, you must talk to people, and you must listen to their concerns. Another night, another wave of strikes. This is the story of Ukraine. Last night, they faced a fresh wave of Russian attacks. Ukrainian capital Kiev came under intense drone and missile fire. Multiple districts reported blasts. High-rise buildings were damaged. Fires broke out in several neighborhoods, and dozens of people were rescued from smoke-filled blocks. And it wasn't just Kiev. Another Ukrainian city also reported a drone strike. In response, they hit back. Kiev launched its own strikes deep inside Russia. The Ukrainians hit a ship, an oil depot, and residential buildings. So both sides are now assessing the damage as the cycle of violence continues. Here's a report.
A major Russian assault hit Kiev overnight. Officials say drones and missiles targeted the capital and several regions. It triggered fires, injuries, and widespread damage, and for Kiev, the impact was visible across almost every district. President Volodymyr Zelensky called it a calculated strike on civilians and infrastructure. Have been reportedly killed. Nearly dozens more were injured. The strikes began after midnight on Friday. Sirens sounded across the capital. Moments later, explosions appeared over central Kiev. Gunfire lit up the sky. Fires spread in high-rise blocks. Windows were blown out. Residents were escorted out by firefighters as emergency crews moved rapidly through neighborhoods. More than 40 people were rescued from damaged buildings. By morning, debris covered courtyards, pavements, and roads.
My first thought was, if only no one had died. House can be rebuilt, but people and animals matter most.
Further south, another strike hit Odessa. A Russian drone damaged an energy facility and triggered a fire. One person was injured. Nearby homes were affected. response, Ukraine launched its own strike on Russia. A Ukrainian drone hit the Russian Black Sea port of Novorossiysk. Local authorities said a docked ship, an oil depot, and several apartment buildings were damaged. 3 crew members and 1 resident were reportedly injured. A state of emergency was declared, and shelters were opened for displaced residents. The latest attacks are part of a larger pattern. Both sides have been stepping up long-range attacks on each other for weeks now. Russia has intensified strikes on Ukraine's energy network, rail systems, and residential districts. Ukraine has also increased its own long-range drone operations. Recent targets included refineries, oil depots, and logistics points deep inside Russia. Meanwhile, the fighting has also intensified on the Eastern Front. Russian troops have pushed further into Donetsk and Luhansk, while a ceasefire is nowhere in sight. Kiev's allies have been pressurizing Moscow to come to the negotiating table. However, Russia has reportedly demanded that Ukraine must surrender more territory in the east if the war needs to end. Kiev has said it would not accept those terms. So, for now, this cycle of violence continues. Ukraine is facing a new wave of attacks every few days, and each strike shows how the conflict is widening, deepening, and moving further away from any immediate resolution.
In Tokyo, the sun rises early, anywhere between 5 and 7 a.m., depending on the season, of course. But even the sun has someone beating it to the punch. Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. Last week, while most of Tokyo was deep asleep, Prime Minister Takaichi summoned her aides to the office. The time was 3 a.m. 3 in the morning. The mission was to prepare for a budget committee hearing, one that was scheduled just 6 hours later. And here's the thing, this meeting was not unusual. For Prime Minister Takaichi, this is routine. A lifestyle carved from the old Japanese creed. Work, work, work. The Prime Minister says she sleeps for just 2 hours, 4 if she is lucky. Takaichi admits it is bad for her skin, but for her career, apparently it is doing wonders. And she wants it for her colleagues too. Takaichi has asked her party members to work like a horse. Now, all of this may sound inspirational, the Prime Minister working day and night, but the context here is very important. Because this is Japan we are talking about. This is a country that has a word called karoshi. Do you know what it means? It means death by overwork. The Japanese literally have a word for it. Karoshi is death by overwork, and it is something that Japan has seen a lot of. It is tied to their national story. You see, Japan's economy boomed through the 1970s and 1980s. People thought it was hard work. And some of it was. But the growth was also because their industries were modern, their unions were disciplined, and their savings were high. The long hours were a cultural expression. They were not an economic necessity. Yet, the culture only hardened. So much so that it started taking lives. That's what gave birth to the term. Continues till date. Even today, the average Japanese citizen sleeps for 7 hours and 1 minute. That is 38 minutes less than the global average. The workday does not end when you leave your office. You have to hang out with your colleagues, you have to have a drink with your boss, you have to eat ramen at midnight with acquaintances, and only then does your workday end. It's both problematic and unsustainable. So when the Prime Minister of this country says sleep is optional, it's a culture that is already punishing people. Japan is already tired, its workers are tired, and it shows in their plummeting birth rate. But here's the other problem. Takaichi is not alone in this gospel of tirelessness. In fact, she joins the global choir of high achievers, those who swear by brutal hours. Elon Musk once said, "No one changed the world working 40 hours a week." Jeff Bezos says he prefers work-life harmony, not balance. Narayan Murthy wants India to try a 70-hour work week. Jack Ma once called a 12-hour, 6-day schedule a blessing. Indra Nui says work-life balance does not exist. Shah Rukh Khan once said rest is a sin. There's a clear pattern here. Successful people often believe the secret to success is more work, more hours, more sacrifice, more coffee. It sounds nice because it sounds true. And effort does matter. Commitment matters. Nobody wins a marathon by jogging for 15 minutes a day. But here's the unspoken truth. These people are exceptions. They are statistical anomalies. If everyone did what they do, we would not become a planet of Elon Musk's, and thank God for that. We would become a planet of burnout. So what do we do? The answer is tricky. Hard work does matter. No nation, no company, no individual grows on leisure alone. But there is a limit to human productivity. No one, not even the most successful people on earth, can outrun biology forever. You can push your body, you can stretch your mind. But if you live your entire life at 3 a.m., eventually something cracks. The very thing that makes work worth doing, your ideas, your energy, they start fading when you run on fumes. So maybe the real lesson is not work like a horse. Maybe it's this: work hard when you must, but also rest when you can. In the end, work-life balance is about sustainability. Tensions are escalating further in the Caribbean. The US military has attacked one more Venezuelan boat. That's 20 boats attacked in 2 months, plus around 80 people killed without trial. 80 people killed. Until now, this was a case-by-case operation, but now the US has announced a new mission. They're calling it Operation Southern Spear. They say the aim is to defeat narco-terrorists. But one statement from the US Secretary of War, who's basically their defense minister, his statement suggests something more. He says the Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood, so America will protect it. Does this signal an expansion of operations? And is Venezuela ready for a looming conflict? Our next report tells you.
You wouldn't want to be Nicolas Maduro right now. You look out into the coast, and what do you see? 100,000 tons of lethal American firepower heading your way. The USS Gerald Ford, the largest warship in the world, and the US military isn't done yet. On Thursday, the Secretary of War announced a new mission, Operation Southern Spear, focusing on the Caribbean. This mission will be led by the US military's Southern Command, located in Florida. The Secretary's announcement coincided with another strike by the US, the 20th such strike on alleged Venezuelan drug boats. Put together, these strikes have killed around 80 people, but the worst could be yet to come. The US has deployed 9 warships and multiple aircraft to the Caribbean. They have more than 15,000 soldiers ready and waiting. It's the largest US buildup in the region in generations. The question is, will President Donald Trump pull the trigger? This week, Trump was reportedly presented with military options. One is to strike Venezuelan military targets, another is to target drug trafficking routes. And yet another is to take out President Maduro. The Venezuelan leader is preparing for that possibility. The country has mobilized around 200,000 soldiers. Maduro himself is out on the streets trying to rouse the people. He accused the US of inventing excuses to invade.
Now imperialism is inventing an even more bizarre narrative. Since they cannot say that Maduro has weapons of mass destruction, since they cannot say that we have hidden biological or chemical weapons, they invent a bizarre narrative.
The start of Southern Spear could mark a turning point. The War Secretary did not mention Venezuela. Instead, he talked about narco-terrorists in the entire Western Hemisphere. And that could suggest an escalation. Venezuela isn't the only country that Trump has accused of narco-terrorism. He's accused the likes of Colombia and Mexico as well. So could Southern Spear be expanded into a regional operation? That's the worry. amid this generational military buildup?
3 songs that have topped the Billboard and Spotify charts. They're massive, viral, and everywhere. Except nobody knew who the artist was because there was no artist. The songs were generated by artificial intelligence, not helped by AI, not partially tweaked by AI, not a human with an AI assistant, but fully machine made. And most people did not even notice. Let's tell you about these songs. A track called Walk My Walk hit #1 on Billboard's country digital song sales. Another, Living on Borrowed Time, went viral. Both were from a group called Breaking Rust, except Breaking Rust is not really a group, it's more like a workflow. Lyrics are generated here, vocals are generated here, they're mixed by software, and they're uploaded by a human being. And then there was a Dutch song that topped the global viral chart, an AI-generated protest anthem. It went so viral that the song and the entire catalog suddenly disappeared from Spotify and YouTube. Spotify says it did not remove it. The owner says he doesn't know what happened. But here's the crazy part. A survey across 8 countries asked 9,000 people to tell the difference between AI tracks and human-made ones. And guess what? 97% failed. 97% people, almost the entire sample, could not tell which was which means if you thought you would just know the difference, you probably wouldn't. And it's not just ordinary people, even professional musicians. They were getting confused too. And here's where it gets scary. On platforms like Deezer, 50,000 AI-generated songs are uploaded every single day. 50,000 songs every day. That's 34% of all daily music uploads. And remember, this is only the AI music that the detection system manages to catch. So the real number is probably higher. This is not a wave of AI songs, it's a tsunami of AI music being created by bots who don't spend 5 years on one album. So who is making this music? It's not musicians, not producers, not singers. Mostly it's random people trying to earn passive income. There are entire blogs and channels that teach you how to do this. They teach you how to use AI to generate 200 songs a week. So you can siphon money from the royalty pool. This is not creativity, this is content farming. And it pays. Because the more tracks you upload, the higher the chance that one of them goes viral. And the machine really doesn't care if you're talented, it just needs volume. Also, AI music can sound good too. It sounds good now. In fact, it sounds almost too good. But here's the big question. When 50,000 AI songs upload every day, how does a real artist break through? Humans can't compete with machines that produce 24/7. Albums often take weeks, if not years, to make. A machine can generate hundreds of songs in a day. Also, what about creativity? How can a machine create a heartbreak song if it has never felt it? Or a love song if it doesn't have emotions? Now, many may argue the listener can't tell the difference, and that is true. But then, does the soul behind the music still matter? Will creativity soon just become a prompt? There's the entire infinite songs. And the music, of course it can, it already has, and it has topped the charts. The real question is, do we redefine what art and creativity means? Because creativity used to be uniquely, now it is automated. And if the world can't tell the difference. Our final story tonight is about a major change coming to India's schools, not in the syllabus, but in how children learn to think. CBSE has drafted a new curriculum on artificial intelligence. CBSE is the Central Board of Secondary Education, and it has now prepared a draft framework for AI in schools. The new plan brings basic AI and computational thinking into early classes. We're talking about children starting as early as the 3rd class, and it goes up all the way to class 12. The rollout is expected to begin next year. NCERT, that's the National Council for Educational Research, is now reviewing the draft before a national rollout. But here's the question. Can India scale this plan in a way that keeps teachers ready and classrooms equipped? Here's our report.
Indian schools may soon bring artificial intelligence into everyday lessons. CBSE, or the Central Board of Secondary Education, has drafted a new AI and computational thinking curriculum. It spans classes 3 to 12. Parts of the plan are expected to begin from the 2026 to 2027 academic year. The draft outlines how AI will enter classrooms in a phased and structured way. A panel of experts is being set up to study the document. The plan aligns with the National Education Policy 2020. It also aligns with the National Curriculum Framework for School Education 2023. Officials call this a nascent but significant step. The aim is to reinforce learning, thinking, and teaching. The framework uses the idea of AI for public good. The structure begins early. For classes 3 to 5, computational thinking will be embedded in subjects like language, maths, and environmental studies. For classes 6 to 8, students will be introduced to foundational AI concepts. Assessments will include projects and presentations. Handbooks and worksheets will support these grades. In classes 9 and 10, advanced computational thinking and intermediate AI are set to become compulsory subjects. In classes 11 and 12, core AI and machine learning concepts will be offered as electives. Teacher preparation is one of the focuses of the draft. Learning material, teacher guides, and digital content are expected by December this year. Teacher training will run through national programs and recognized institutions. Reports say maths and subject teachers will handle younger classes. Different teachers will reportedly work together in the middle grades. Computer science teachers may lead senior classes. The draft has now been sent to the NCERT, or the National Council for Educational Research and Training, for expert review, but rolling out will not be that easy. India reportedly has about 1.5 million schools. It has more than 248 million students and reportedly over 10.1 million teachers. While not all schools are aligned to CBSE, a system this large comes with natural challenges. Many schools still lack basic digital infrastructure. The country continues to face a persistent digital divide. Device access and connectivity vary widely across regions. Training teachers will also take time, especially for those new to AI tools. These hurdles are part of the transition, and countries worldwide are navigating similar shifts. The UAE, China, and Finland, among others, are also introducing AI into their schools. India is now working to develop its own model. The aim is to find an approach that fits its classrooms and its scale. The draft offers the first outline of that path, and the next few months will show how quickly India can move from plan to practice.
Do you use AI at work? Data says almost 75% of all workers do, but here's a piece of advice. You're not supposed to be using AI. If you're not supposed to be using AI, then don't. If you still go ahead, at least hide the trail. Unfortunately, one journalist in Pakistan did not get the memo. He used AI to write an article for a reputed English daily, but look at how the article ends. If you want, I can also create an even snappier front page style version with punchy one-line stats. That's a ChatGPT prompt. The writer forgot to remove it from his write-up, and even the editor missed it. What followed was some epic trolling. it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro gets mobbed by the crowd in a Caracas Youth March. The world's best aerial athletes take to the sky for the ultimate obstacle course, and the Northern Lights illuminates the skies over the United States. Finally, we're taking you back in history. On this day in 1969, Apollo 12 lifted off from Florida. This was a second manned mission to the surface of the moon, but it came chillingly close to disaster. The flight was hit by two lightning strikes right after its launch. We're leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.
A new contender has stepped into the global arena. It's a human-shaped machine that Elon Musk calls Optimus. The Tesla CEO believes it could transform the automaker into the world's most powerful company. Behind the glossy demos lies a far deeper battle, because Musk's staggering $1 trillion pay package depends on delivering a fleet of these robots. While the billionaire dreams of a robot revolution, China is already building one, faster, bigger, and with state power behind it. Our next report uncovers the high-stakes showdown that could decide who rules the age of humanoid robots.
A strange new figure is entering the global stage. It doesn't speak, it doesn't sleep, but it can walk, learn, and mimic almost everything a human does. Meet Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot. A project Elon Musk claims will redefine the company and maybe even humanity's future. For years, Optimus appeared like a tech demo, a futuristic sideshow at Tesla events. But now it's at the center of Musk's biggest gamble ever, a $1 trillion mission to build 1 million robots in the next decade. A bold dream. But the power to make it real lies thousands of miles away in China. Because while Musk talks about Optimus changing the world, China has already started doing it. In 2023, China installed over 290,000 industrial robots. China has set up robot testing zones, created national standards for humanoids, and even held robot games. A showcase where bipedal bots walk beams, balance on ledges, and assemble parts on miniature production lines. And here's where Musk's $1 trillion dream hits its biggest obstacle. Tesla can design Optimus in California. It can test Optimus in Texas. But to build it affordably, at scale, with the precision needed, Musk needs China. Because China dominates the components that make humanoid robots move. Servo motors, harmonic reducers, force sensors, machine vision modules, LFP batteries, specialized metals. No other country has this supply chain, and replicating it would cost billions and take years. Even deployment, the work robots need to learn, exists at a scale only China offers. Huge factories, robot-heavy industrial parks, and no resistance from labor groups. In other words, if Optimus can't operate in China, it may never reach the scale investors are betting on. But China isn't opening its doors freely. Its security laws treat humanoid robots as sensitive devices. Its new standards will dictate how robots move, connect, and even what data they collect. And any foreign robot operating in China must comply fully. Which leaves Musk with a choice: adapt Optimus to China's rules or build it outside the world's most important robotics ecosystem. Both paths are expensive, both paths slow him down, and both paths strain the $1 trillion narrative Wall Street just bought into. So yes, Elon Musk can build a robot army. He can design it, he can prototype it, he can even deploy it. But scaling it, that depends on something no Tesla engineer controls: Beijing's permission. And that may be the most unpredictable variable in the future of artificial intelligence.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is First Post Live, brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.
Save time creating content and generate a high-quality clone of your voice with 11 Labs. Change the way you record